Good morning, students. Now we shall start history tutorial, chapter 5, the age of industrialization. As we have read that how the industrialization was started in Europe, and you have also read the early stage of industrialization and what was the pace of industrial development. And you also have read that what were the leading sectors of industrialization. It means that in which sector industrialization was first started, as you have read that the leading sector of industrialization, that was iron and cotton textile. Now we shall see that what was the condition of the colonies during the period of industrialization. So students, let us see. Let us now move to India to see how a colony industrializes. As you have read that India was also a colony. It was colonized by Britain. So let us see that how in India as a colony of Britain, what was the condition of industries, how the industries were set up, and before setting up of industries, what was the condition of trade and business in India, and what was its position. Okay, now come on. So this is the topic 3, industrialization in the colonies. Now 3.1, the age of Indian textile. The age of Indian textile. Okay. Now class, you know that before the setting up of industries and before the coming of industrialization, India played a leading role in fine quality of cotton export. Now the other parts of the world or the other countries, they produced the coarse quality or rough variety of cotton. But India had a leading position in producing the fine quality of cotton and silk, and it was exported to different parts of the world. So we can see that before the industrialization, India had a leading position in textile industry. So now we can see that Armenian and Persian merchants took the goods from Punjab to Afghanistan, Eastern Persia and Central Asia. Bales of fine textiles were carried on camelback via the north-west frontiers through mountain passes and across deserts. A vibrant sea trade operated through the main pre-colonial ports. Surat on the Gujarat coast connected India to the Gulf and Red Sea ports. Masulipatam on the Coromandel coast and Hooghly in Bengal had made links with Southeast Asian ports. So students, you can see that as just we have discussed that India had a leading position in textile export. The merchants from the Armenian merchants and Afghan merchants, they carried on the textile trade. So bales of cotton that was carried on, that was exported via on the camel's back. So it means that the land trade as well as the sea trade both were very advanced and developed, and the leading item of trade was the cotton and silk textile. So class, you know that at that time there were three leading coasts, and on that coast the export was carried on. So what were the three important coasts? They were These were the three main pre-colonial ports. Pre-colonial ports means before the coming of Britishers, before the controlling of before the British control over India, India had a leading position in trade, and there were three pre-colonial trades. What were the three pre-colonial trades? Now you know that friends, we can see there were three important pre-colonial trades. Number one, Surat. Surat in Gujarat. It was in Gujarat. Then in West Bengal, that was the Hooghly. Hooghly was in West Bengal. And the third one was Masulipatam. Masulipatam, it was in Karnataka. So students, Masulipatam in Karnataka or Coromandel coast. Now these were the three important seaports: Surat, Hooghly and Masulipatam. And trade was carried on through these the ports, and ships bales of cotton that was exported to other parts of other seaports, other parts of the port, and via those ports they were sent to different parts of the world. So in this way you can see that India had a leading position in textile, and it produced fine quality of cotton and silk. Now class, you can see that as you have read that the trade was very vibrant in India. It was carried on land as well as on sea. Now you know that because of this network, because of this that trade network, a number of merchants and artisans, they were connected in this trade network. They were involved, variety of Indian merchants and bankers were involved in the network to export trade, financing production, different type of the merchants and bankers of India. They were involved in different type of trade activities. For example, some of the merchants, they were involved in carrying and transporting the goods from one part to another part of the country. Besides that, there were a number of bankers. There were a number of bankers who provided the money to carry on this trade. So in this way, the export trade, there was a network of export trade, financing production. Financing production means they had finance, they provided the amount, they provided the capital to carry on this network, to carry on this trade, carrying goods supplying exporters, supplying merchants link the port town to the inland regions. They gave advance to weavers, procured the woven cloth from weaving villages and carried the supply to the ports. At the port, the big shippers and export merchants had brokers who negotiated the price and bought goods from the supply merchants operating inland. Now, students, you can see that in this network, a number of merchants, a variety of merchants and bankers were involved. There were some merchants who were the supply merchants, who supplied the goods. They also provided the raw material to the artisans and they provided the cash, raw material, and after completing they collected the goods, finished goods, and they supplied to the market. From there were a number of bankers who provided the cash to the merchants and the people who were involved in this network. Then at seaport also there were a number of shippers who owned the ships, and there were the supply merchants also. So in this way you can understand, in this network there were a number of activities, and in all these activities only the Indian merchants were involved and they earned huge profits also. Now this was continued till the mid 18th century, till 1750 or till the mid 18th century this system was continued. And after that, after the mid 18th century, there was a change. There was a decline of this trade started. How the declination of trade was started? Declination means there was the slowdown. It means this network that was abrupted, that became coming down and declined. What was the reason behind that? As the Britishers, they came India, they had established their political control over India. Then slowly it affected over the trade network of India. So by the 1750, this network controlled by Indian merchant was the breaking down. So friends, as I have told you that this network was continued till mid 18th century. But after mid 18th century means after 1750, the declination was started. Before that, the full control was in the hands of the Indian merchants, traders and bankers. The European companies gradually gained power, first securing a variety of concessions from local ports, then the monopoly rights to trade. This resulted in a decline of the old ports of Surat and Hooghly, through which local merchants had operated. Now class, after the mid 18th century, the Britishers, they came to India and they had got concession from the local court. First they had got some concession and later they had established their monopoly to trade. Means they had right to do trade. And as they had got monopoly to trade, the old seaports, Surat, Hooghly and Masulipatam, they started declining. These old seaports were controlled by Indian merchants, and now after the coming of the Britishers, what's happened? The old seaport had started declining and in place of new seaports developed. And what were this resulted in a decline of the old ports of Surat and Hooghly, through which local merchants had operated. Exports from these ports fell dramatically. finance, the earlier, may begin drying up and the local bankers slowly went bankrupt. As you have read that as the dominance of British merchant established over Indian trade, slowly the Indian merchants and bankers, they had lost their control. The Indian bankers, they had become bankrupt. They did not had the money to finance the merchants. The declination was started. While Surat and Hooghly decayed, Bombay and Calcutta grew. So class, you can understand when Surat, Hooghly and Masulipatam, they had decayed, they had declined. In place of these old seaports, the new seaports developed. What were the new seaports? They were the Calcutta, Bombay and Calcutta. In place of that, the two new seaports developed, Bombay and Calcutta. Yes. Now, from these new seaports, the trade was carried on, which was completely controlled by the British companies. The shift from the old ports to the new ones was an indicator of the growth of colonial power. Actually, when the new seaports developed and the trade was controlled by the British companies, that was an indicator, that has a sign of control over the Indian textile by the British merchants. Trade through the new ports came to be controlled by European companies and was carried in European ships, while many of the old trading house collapsed. Those that wanted to survive had to now operate within a network shaped by the European trading companies. So now the situation had changed. In place of the old network, in place of the old trading network, a new trade system developed, and that new trading system was completely controlled by the Britishers. What happened to the weavers? Now we shall see that what happened to the weavers. What happened to the What happened to the weavers? Now class, you can understand that earlier the weavers, they worked, they weaved under the supervision of Indian merchants and bankers, and now the situation was changed. The weavers, they had to work under the supervision of British companies, British trading companies. So definitely there was a change. Now we shall do this in next tutorial. Thank you. Have a nice day.